So, having no friends, I think, is the absolute best thing to ever happen to me. And I'll tell you exactly why. So earlier in the year, I was studying for my university assignment because I was doing master's course at uni, right? And I just sat there and I thought to myself, I slowly pondered, why the fuck am I doing this course? No, like seriously. Because most people, they can only stomach doing a 9 to 5 job that they absolutely hate. And that was exactly where my master's was preparing me to go. They can only stomach doing that because they have a thriving social circle. They have a life outside of the job. They have a family outside of the job to keep them going. And I just thought to myself, as someone who doesn't have those things currently, why am I making myself go into a job that I absolutely despise when I don't have any buffer? I don't have a social buffer that would keep me going while I'm grinding away at the job. It was a real wake-up call. And I know you guys might say, oh, well, so what's your plan? What are you going to do now? It made me realize this very important point. If you don't have a social buffer, then you're going to have to force yourself, which is what I did. I forced myself to really sit down and figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life. When you don't have all these social distractions that bounce your own self-doubt off of, you start to ask yourself this, right? Which person do I actually want to become? Where am I headed? And so I did ask myself that, and I eventually pivoted to an entirely different career path. And I can honestly say that that was probably the best decision that I ever made in my life. Having no friends and social buffer made me realize that I can't just keep on going doing a career path that I absolutely hated. I needed something more. Because without one, you gotta have the other, right? Otherwise, what would even be the point to continue? So I had to have a career trajectory that I absolutely loved. And I found that with psychology. I found that with acting. Those things might seem like two completely different things, but they both have the same baseline, which is you tell the human experience from storytelling, from analyzing cultural trends, and really digging deep and figuring yourself out. And I found that was something I absolutely naturally gravitated towards. And I know one of you guys, or most of you guys, are probably going to say, bro, like, you're trying to be like Yoda out here. Like, what are you doing? You're 23. Like, why don't you go out, like, do the things people your age are supposed to do, right? Like, do some casual flings here and there, nightlife, and just have a good time, right? But I think that being alone actually is required for you to grow as an individual. You don't truly know yourself fully until you've reached a point where you're comfortable with being alone by yourself for extended periods of time. I'll tell you something, being alone isn't actually that bad, as you probably think. Because the thing is, a lot of the noise disappears in your life. A lot of all that buzz that clouds your thoughts, it just fades away after a little while. I mean, there is going to be the odd, thing here and there where you start chatting to a pigeon, right? But overall, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. I think a lot of people are so afraid of being alone that they constantly hang out with the wrong people. And when you start hanging out with the wrong people, you never get to know yourself. And when you never get to know yourself, you're constantly going to be stuck in this perpetual cycle of autopilot. You keep autopiloting your entire life. That's where a lot of people, when they reach their middle age, all of a sudden they wake up, they lose all their old friends that they once had, because that's a natural thing that happens, right? People change over time. And then when they're finally by themselves for a long period of time, or with their family, all of a sudden they develop that awareness, that introspection. So if you're someone who hasn't reached that point yet, consider this as your warning, I guess, to start figuring yourself out before you enter into a point where most of your life was thrown into autopilot mode, because that's something that a lot of people do, unfortunately. And you might be wondering, right? Like, Tony, if you're doing all this, why can't you just go outside and meet some new people? Like, bro's doing all this, right? Like, having all these like philosophical thoughts. Can't you just go outside and just like meet some new people? Like, it's not that difficult. Let me tell you something. There's this quote from Carl Jung, right? He says that if you just do the work, if you just do the work in becoming the best version of yourself, you don't have to go seek out people that want to be your friends. He says, people come to find you. You'll find that there's no shortage of people that come to seek you out. And I honestly think that there's a lot of truth in that. A lot of people, they start off with the intention, they go out to meet people just for the intention of meeting new people because they're lonely, right? And what happens is that when that's your goal, when that's your why of going out, honestly, I think that you tend to make yourself stick to a lot of people that might not be good for you. You might get a lot of bad influence because you're so desperate to have someone to talk to that you start hanging out with people that may not be that good for you in the long run. And that's why I think that if you don't really have any friends, right? Because with me, I don't really have a big friend group. I occasionally just have like a few gatherings here and there, but I don't really have an established friend group. And I know that hurts. It can hurt for a long time. But overall, I think that it's a much healthier way of making friends if you find people that you actually truly align with. I'm not saying just make an echo chamber for yourself, but figure out who you are first, the real version of you, and then gravitate towards people that match that version of you. And to do that, you need to go through a period of self-reflection and introspection first. And honestly, that requires being alone. And if you're someone that is absolutely struggling with loneliness right now, take this as an opportunity to develop yourself, to do some personal growth. It's difficult, but humans are built to overcome difficult things. We're not built to just live in comfort all the time. We actually start craving that difficulty curve. And I just want to close this video out by saying that you're not alone. And if you're going through hell, keep going. I don't want to sound all melodramatic or anything, but it's a really thoughtful quote that I think that you guys will benefit a lot from. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.